Hi, my name's Tony Bennett. I'm with T-Full Assignment, and here's my Odin innovation story. It was just before season, late September. I put the apple out right underneath both licking branches just to see if I could get them, and sure enough, only a few hours I had a small fawn that already started showing up to one of the spots that we had put it out in, and then basically days following that, we had more and more deer continue to show up, checking that spot, starting to use the licking branch there, and I did apply some of the pellets there right on the licking branch itself too, and the deer were finally starting to sniff it out. Just things were coming together. I really couldn't believe how fast and effective it started working for deer that weren't anywhere near that location. So getting later in the season, it was a really warm start to October, and then it just got really rainy and it finally started to cool down. October 21st or so, started seeing some bucks started chasing does, so I figured now was better to switch up to the doe and buck side there. I had two different locations for the licking branches that we had set up. One location was near a field and the other was in the middle of the woods, and I applied about a half a bag of the doe and estrus on each one, and then a quarter of a bag of the dominant buck scent, and I kind of evenly spread them out in there and basically waited to see what happened. I got done hunting about the morning of October 27th. I pulled both trail cameras that were sitting there overlooking each spot, and I couldn't believe it that we had bucks that weren't even in the area starting to show up. One of the bucks had been hanging out in our locations, and he started using that scrape there, and it literally was only a few days after I set up both spots. November 12th, after it finally started cooling down and bucks were starting to move, once you know the great weather of Michigan, had a snowstorm come in. I couldn't believe it. I'm like 4 inches of wet snow sitting on top of all this. Nothing is going to be using it. Now we got to start hunting food and whatnot. I pulled the cards on the 14th. Still, I couldn't believe it. In 4 inches of snow, there were still bucks showing up to each one of our scrapes, and things were coming together, and I couldn't believe even how thick that snow was. Those deer were still showing up to those spots. Opening day gun season here in Michigan. Around 9:30, I had my brother sitting over one spot. I sat in another location. They're overlooking the other spot, and everything came together. The 8-point that we've been watching all year long came through the thickest part, and he was heading right for the scrape. Brother took the shot, dropped the deer maybe 20 yards away from that scrape. Things came together that morning. It was perfect. November 16th, the day after, I figured, you know what, I'm gonna sit in my brother's spot. He's done hunting for the year, give it a shot. 8:30 in the morning, buck we've never seen before shows up, walks right up to the scrape that we've been dumping Odin's products in, dropped him right there. I just couldn't be more of a believer in this product, that it just continued to show up day after day, more bucks using it. I mean, even days after we were done gun hunting, different bucks would stop by, check on it, use the branch, sniff the ground, continue to work the scrape. The Odin's product line, after going through all that, it's definitely made me a believer, and I'll continue to use them.